Great. Well, good morning in the Netherlands, at least. Welcome to this class. I'm very excited for you all to join. Oh, I see people like admitting, but I don't have to do anything.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So yeah, just taking a little moment to arrive. I already talked to Jane and Deidre and Cecilia and Tim and Paul. I know Manal. And I see Rosemary and Siobhan trying to, and I'll say that again because some people just joined, get the Spotify playlist. So there is in the chat a link that I usually love to teach with music. And if you like music, you can play it in your own device, and you can just start the playlist when we start the class.
I can't see it in the I can't see it in the chat, by the way.
You can't see it. Maybe because if people joined later, maybe they didn't see it. I'll put it in again. That's a good point. So now you should be able to see it. I'm sure in the replay, like you can't see it, but maybe we can put it underneath the page where it is. So Lena, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. So my name is Relinde. I am in the Netherlands. I have danced professionally, contemporary dance for about 17 years. At the moment, I have switched that a little bit. I'm doing some other things, but it's still one of my big loves, of course. And I also am a yoga teacher and a Qigong instructor. And in yoga, I really like to find the entrance of embodiment and yoga. I have studied some embodied flow with Tara Judell and Scott Lyons, and I've fused my own contemporary dance background in the yoga. So we're going to do a yoga class, but it's going to be a little bit different than you might be used to. If there's anything at any time, of course, in the class, if there's anything that feels uncomfortable, if it hurts, don't do it. That's just a little disclaimer. We're even like a nice and intimate group here. So at any time, if you are like, I want to ask something, or I want to say something, or how can I do this, just feel free and to pop that in the chat. That might be the best way that I can answer it. But I think rather than that, we can just dive in and go and enjoy this class. So, oh yeah, I'll tell a little bit more about the class. We're going to explore naval radiation. And naval radiation is one of the developmental patterns that we all go through, like in the womb. It's the way that how the growth of the embryo actually starts from the center all the way out towards the limbs. And when we are like still quite tiny, it looks more like a starfish. And today we'll be exploring that pattern. I don't want to like get too like theoretical about it. We're just going to explore it and see what that brings. So to start,
Relinde,
yes.
I just want to. I'll keep an eye on the chat. If there's anything that needs your attention, I'll let you know.
That's great, Manal. Perfect. Okay, and that's then a good invitation for anybody to use that. Yeah. Okay, great. So what I'll be using for this class, I'll actually do the class without a mat because, and especially in the beginning, you might want to roll your mat for a moment and just have the floor. For the type of movements that we're doing, the mat can be a little bit too sticky. So what I did, I have rolled my mat here. I do have a block handy, it might come in handy, and that's it. For the rest, you don't need the blocks. And you could stay on your mat, but it might be a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm doing it without. So, and to start, I would like for us for a moment just to take a seated position, or you can sit on something, and that feels better. And I'm sitting a little bit in a funny angle just because I want to show this. I'm just going to sit down. And here I would like you to place one hand on the top of your head. And the other hand goes on your tailbone, and really the lower end. Really the lower end of the tailbone. And just taking a moment to close your eyes. And taking a moment to arrive here on the mat with these hands on the top of the head and on the tailbone. If in any time it feels uncomfortable for your wrist or your shoulder, just release the hands. Once you have the touch, you can also imagine just having the hands there. So just taking a moment to breathe and to arrive into this Zoom class all over the world, yet we're all doing the same thing. Finding that connection between the top hand and the lower hand. So slowly, can you start to tune into the space in between the hands, which would mainly be the line that we follow, which would be the vertebrae. The spine, the vertebrae is the spine. And can you feel that connection all the way from the tailbone to the top of the head? Great. Then we'll release the hands, and just feeling still that connection from the spine all the way from the top to the bottom. And then for a moment, place your hands on your navel, so both hands on the navel. And just finding this center point of the body. And just allowing your belly to breathe and feeling the breath underneath your hands. And just that, taking a moment to arrive and feeling into that navel center. And from there, let's gently open our eyes. If you're seated on something, take it away. And we're going to lay down on the floor, having a similar connection again. So this time you're just going to like curl up on your side. You could put something underneath your head if that would be uncomfortable. And can you find again this tailbone and top of the head? And can you lay down and just finding that one more time, having that touchstone, the hands on the head, hand on the tailbone. And just really feeling into that connection. Imagining the line in between your hands. Great. Now release the hand from the tailbone and just bring your elbows in and make yourself really small without tensing, without really cramping in, but just making yourself really tiny, nose towards the knees. And feeling this inward movement. And from here, can you start to send your hands and your feet away? So when you slowly send the hands and the feet away, can you open up and come all the way to the back? So in the end, when you send everything away, you come to lay on your back and find like a starfish-like position. I'm just gonna watch for a moment. Beautiful. And when you have that starfish, can you really send the hands and the feet away, and they'll be in a slight like V, up and out. Beautiful. And feel the difference. Feel how this feels different from being in and small, and feel how this feels different in being this outwards and all big and expanded. Now we're going to find the in again. But I want you to roll to the other side. So if you were just laying on your right side, now find the in again. So start from your navel. So starting to bring everything in and then rolling to your side, bringing the hands to the side in and the feet in and the knees in to the other side. And make yourself a small little ball again. Beautiful. And just tuning in for a moment how that feels. Is this more comfortable or less? And feel how you brought everything in from the center. And we'll do that again, this time sending again the extremities away. So send your hands and your feet away, rolling slowly back to your back, sending everything away into that starfish-like position. Beautiful. And feeling that, can you drop your bones to the floor even more? And now next time we're going to roll in again to the other side. So we'll do alternate sides. And can you really have your hands moving over the floor without lifting, without at least amount of muscular tension? So finding that in, beautiful. So going to the other side, bringing everything in from the navel. Taking your time, really feeling how you can bring it all in. Beautiful. Nose to the knees, how small can you be? Having that me moment and then opening up again by sending the extremities away from you into that starfish, almost like out into the world. This is the difference, being out, and then we continue, so going a little bit faster to the other side. Can you make this like going in, contracting the belly, and I'm bringing everything back in together, still with the least amount of muscular tension you need, and then open up again from the extremities, opening up into that starfish. Beautiful. Going in one more time to the other side, bringing knees to head, and opening up, giving as much weight as you can to the floor. Going in, and we'll keep going and open. If I'm going too fast, you can adjust the time a little bit. We will speed it up a little bit. Going in, bringing everything in, and open. And in, and open. Beautiful. And in, and open. And then stay, when you open the next time, stay in your starfish. Great. And just let your feet rest on the floor, your legs rest on the floor, your arms rest on the floor. So can you drop your bones a little bit more into gravity? Can you allow your body to be a little bit heavier? Now, what happens often when we go a little bit faster is that we start to lift from the floor, really lift the feet up and go to side to side. I want you to try to keep as much of your body on the floor as possible, even when you go in and when you go out again, and when you go in and out. So you're going to roll again, and maybe we do it one more time, a little bit slower to the right side. Let's all roll to the, yes, that's it. And then holding it, and then just bringing everything together. Can you use the floor to allow you to move? And also when you can come back. So sending the extremities away and keep as much of your hands and your feet and everything on the floor as you can. Beautiful, that's it. A lot less tension, good. And again to the left side. Can you keep your hands moving over the floor to get there, finding a pathway that uses the support of the ground. That's it, beautiful. And open up again to the starfish, great. One more time to the right side, open, close in to right. Bring your head in so that you really round the spine and find that in movement, and then out all the way from the extremities. Great. And this time roll to the left. Roll to the left. And then just when you're on your side, just use your hands and push yourself up to seated for a moment so that you could see what I'd be doing. And just want to show, beautiful, this is great. So we're going to the next one. So this was all fantastic. So you're on the floor, you're rolling in, you did that, and rolling out, and keeping everything on the floor, nice and relaxed, and in. And this is what you've done and out. And the next one, I just wanted to show you quickly, you're going in, and then it's like you're out. You're gonna reach from here. Now watch out, if you do this reaching, that you don't arch the back, yeah? So it's a reach away, hands and feet away from each other without arching the back, going in and going out. And that's for both sides, yeah? So I just wanted to show you that. So let's all start in the starfish. Finding again the weight on the floor. Can you really drop your bones? Releasing any unnecessary tension. Great. Now roll into your right side. Again, bring everything in from the navel. Make yourself like a little ball. And then open up, and then you send everything away. It's like, yay! Here I am, world. And then bringing everything in. And then open up to the back. Then go to the left side, rolling in, making yourself like a little tiny ball. And then open up, sending hands and feet away from each other. Going in, nose to knees. And open up to the back again. One more time. Rolling to the right, bringing everything in. I'm just going to watch for a moment. Open up, send hands and feet away, good. And no tension, it's not about tensing, but really, yeah, beautiful. Making sure not to arch the back. And then bring everything back in again. So after you went on your side, again, you go to that inward position, and then you open up to your starfish on the floor. Beautiful. To the other side, bringing everything in, and just finding that like in, where am I here? And then open up to the world. Ooh. I had this teacher who made us say always like me when we go in, so me when I go in, and then you when I go out. Which is like, hi world, here am I, and I'm back on the floor. One more time, go to the side where you're on, not sure we're all on the same side, so making yourself small and in, and then on your side, reaching out. Just finding that little flow, and all the way in, and then you go all the way to your back again. And let's rest there for a moment. Great. Just allow yourself to lay into the starfish, dropping your weight into the floor. After all that playing around and rolling around, maybe even thinking a little bit much. Can you feel how this feels, having this open position, being on the floor, dropping the bones? Okay. So we're going to, from our starfish, roll again to the right side. Bring everything in to that little ball of the right side. All the way in. Now from here, there is a way, but you can like find it out a little bit. Just take a moment to explore. There is a way to easily come to the top of your knees, like in a child's pose. So you're on your right side, and give yourself the time to release, like, first of all, release tension in the muscles, and just finding that way to smoothly all the way roll through so that you come into a child's pose. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm repeating it a couple of times so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm laying here, and then from here, I'm finding a way to roll myself into child's pose. Great. I know, it's a tricky one. It's like, what? I'm really close. Oh, and somebody is in the waiting room. I'm just gonna admit, I'm so used to. So when you're in here, how can you easily come to here? How can you come from laying on your side to easily find that little moment in your child's pose? And I'm just going to watch. So maybe just do it a couple of times and see if you can find that. Can you do it without a lot of tension? Can you do it without, so we're basically expanding and contracting? Can you come there from a very easy way? So you're still staying in the small. And yeah, I know, it's like, what? I'm going, how do I get there? And I'll tell you in a little bit what is the trick. So for a moment, that's great research. I love it. Yeah, good, 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 good. Okay, so when you're ready exploring, when you feel like, okay, I found something, then just sit up for a moment so that I'll show you one thing that can really help. Great. So often we're actually moving very often from expand to contract, yeah, in yoga as well, like it's big and it's small. But here we're on the floor. I hope you see it okay. So I'm laying on the floor, making myself nice and small. And then from here, I'm going here. So it's actually a very small movement, but there's a little trick. There's this hand, and the hand is on the floor like this. And when you turn it around, you can actually push. And you can actually find this push. So if I keep my knees together, it'll be hard and I use a lot of tension, I'll be here. And if I'm here and I allow myself to release that leg, I can actually very smoothly come here, and I'll show you where I want to go. I want to go from here to a downward facing. Yeah, so we're going to be in, having knees to the heels, child's pose, going in, releasing the leg. And from there I can go back all the way nice and easy to my starfish. Does that make sense? Let's try it out, yeah? So there's the right hand on the floor. So let's all lay on the right side. Let's all lay on the right side. And from here it's like, okay, how am I gonna get from here? If I think of myself as like one big ball, but if I think of myself having this center and having these extremities that actually can really release and move. Now release the left leg already a little bit in the direction of the child's pose. And then allow your right hand to roll and push you there. And you stay as close to the floor as you can. So maybe do it like 2 times so I can see if that works. It is a bit of an experiment to teach this stuff without being able to assist you. Yeah, beautiful, but that looks great actually. Really nice. Okay, so we all end up in a child's pose. The only thing is our hands are close to our head. So you guys are there, like we're there in, hands are close to your head. So we're in the child's pose, and then from here, just bring yourself up into hands and knees. And then from there, lean back. Bring your toes underneath your feet. So tuck your toes under and lean back and bring yourself back into a downward facing dog. And we're at something that looks like yoga. Great. Can you feel here in the downward facing dog, when you've made it there, can you feel this connection from the center? So we've been doing a lot of in and out and in and out. And let's play around here a little bit in this construction on hands and feet. Allowing yourself to move, feeling the in and the out, the navel. And, so finding that connection from navel, the center, towards the hands and the feet, which is the same connection as we were on the floor, but now we're basically really reaching out at the extremities to the floor, still connecting all that through the middle. So just moving around in your downward dog a little bit freely. Great. Now from here, guess what? We're going to move back, bringing knees to the floor, hands and knees. And for a moment, let's stay here. And can you do a similar thing here? If the knees are hurting, feel free to get your mat to put something under the knees. And can you move your navel around? So again, really moving from the center this time. And then feeling how that impacts your, just gonna watch for a moment. Good. How that really impacts the hands and the knees. And how you can move from that navel center. Beautiful. Oh, and then from that little exploration, bring again your sit bones toward your heels back into your child's pose. Bring the hands in this time. So your hands are next to your head. And can you roll back and find that support of the floor and roll back into your starfish? And we have a fun little sequence that we did just there. So from the starfish, roll to the other side. So rolling to your left side, all the way in. Can you find from your roll, can you go through and come to your child's pose with the hands nearby? Find your way, how you can get there. And when you're there, move your hands forward, tuck the toes under, from the knees and the hands, tuck the toes under, and then come into your downward facing dog. Take your little exploration moment there, just gluing, almost, not gluing, but really pushing the hands and the feet into the floor, having that feedback from the earth, and then moving the center around by pushing away from the hands and the feet. Just that little exploration moment on downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, bringing knees to the floor, and then continue, this time really moving from the navel center. So allowing your navel to move, maybe make circles or cats, cow, moving up and down. Just that little bit of playful movement in this position. And then from here, bringing your sit bones back to your heels, back to your little child's pose, and can you find your way onto the floor into your starfish? Just one moment. Yeah. Beautiful. And when we're on the floor, really allow the bones to rest on the floor. So give a moment to just give way to the floor, feeling this outward position. So we'll do this sequence one more time, and while you lay on the floor, I'll talk you through it. So you're out on this beautiful starfish. You're going to, in a bit, you're going to roll into the side, and then from there, finding the child pose, pushing away from that into downward facing dog. Playing around in your downward facing dog by pushing from your hands and your feet, then coming back to hands and knees, then playing around in the navel area. From there, coming back into your child's pose with the hands close by, and then finding the floor again. Okay, let's go all together. So to the side that you haven't done, rolling in, finding your way to your child's pose. So can you find that way that isn't painful for any knees or, yeah, and how do you get there? Good. And then from there, sending your hands away, coming to knees and hands, and then tucking toes under into downward facing dog. Can you play around in your downward facing dog by almost pushing, like if you push a little bit more on the right hand and then the left hand, and then what is moving for you there? Just watching for a moment, because it's so helpful to see what's happening. Beautiful. That looks really, really nice. Great. Then bringing your knees to the floor, and now start moving around really from the navel center. So send your navel around or backwards and to the floor like a cat-cow. And can you allow that navel to really start any movement? And if you look at the feeling that comes with that, almost like the center is almost like everything in life that is like, I want this. This is what I want. This is what I what I want to do. Beautiful. Really good. And then from there, last little movements there. Now bring your sit bones towards your heels so that you're in that child's pose, and roll again to your starfish. So beautiful, Cecilia. Yes, nice. Great. Last time to the other side, because we haven't on one side. So in the starfish, when you're there, now you roll to the left side, maybe, if you just did right, going inwards again, finding that most difficult little part where you find your way to your child pose from that in moment. And using the hand that is on the floor to push yourself there. That's it, Raquel, yes. And then from there, find your hands a little bit forwards, bringing yourself to hands and knees, tucking the toes under into downward facing dog. Great. Now here in downward facing dog, start playing around with pushing a hand, a foot into the floor, and therefore you get some different movement, just allowing yourself to play around in downward facing dog, feeling how you can change the movement. Now you can play just by pushing from the limbs, from the extremities. Yeah, really good. Beautiful, Deidre. That's it. Maybe you want to take one limb away from the floor, one hand, one foot, and play around with that and see where that takes you. Awesome. Really nice. And then from there, bringing the knees to the floor when you feel ready. And then now let the navel center take over. So now the impulse, the start of the movement really comes from the center. Moving around in circles, cat-cows. And feel how you can start and initiate from that center that ripples the whole spine, remembering that we had the hands on the spine and feeling how the whole spine moves when you start from this navel center. Allowing that to ripple through. Great. And then this time, move yourself again back to your downward facing, to your child's pose. And we're not going to go to starfish, yeah? So stay in your child's pose. For a moment, just move your hands far away from you. Move your hands away. And stretch them out. So now we have the legs, the limbs are in. We're still having this inwards movement, but we're moving away the extremities of the hands. And then walk for a moment, walk these hands over to the left side, just a little side stretch, taking that, having your hands all the way away to the left side, and the sit bones are still on the heels, stretching the side. And then from here, can you take your hands, both hands on the floor, on the side, and then again come to knees and hands. And then from here, can you play around with your navel center into this like little bit of a different position. Now we're having this side bend going on. And how does that feel to play around and move from the navel? Just allowing the tissues to loosen. Great. Oh, and moving that back, sit bones towards heels. Moving the hands back to the center. And then walking the hands all the way to the other side. Walking them to the other side. Stretching to your other side. And then placing hands on the floor And coming up into your hands and knees, and then here on the sideways tabletop, and then from here start to move around, loosening up this whole side. Great. And then sit bones back to heels, having that nice side stretch again. Walking the hands to the center. And just rolling up for a moment, placing your hands next to your knees and roll up vertebra by vertebra. Head is the last thing to come up. So even if you haven't been using a mat and you would like to get on your mat, this is a nice time to get on your mat. I'm going to put mine a little bit more backwards so that you can see me even when I'm standing up. Okay, good. So we're on the mat, sitting on the heels. Again, just placing the hands forwards. And let's feel really the hands, so these extremities, and feel for a moment when you have your hands here in the mat. Feel that you can feel the connection with the navel. So we're really thinking almost as if the navel, the hands are coming out of the navel. And so are the legs. So we're going to move forward, tuck the toes under, and then straighten the legs. Up into downward facing dog. And then from here, can you think of your navel? And almost like we're going to lift the right leg, but the navel is going to send your leg away. So it's almost like all the way as if your leg would start into your navel, in your navel center. Send the leg up and away, just as you want, as you wish, send it up and away into the sky. And then from there, bend the knee, look in between your hands, and step the foot in between your hands. So we're here in a lunge position. Bringing the back foot to the floor, and let's just move up and down a couple of times. So moving backwards and forwards, just loosening up. We're just opening up hip flexors and hip joints for a moment, moving forwards and back. Great, so from here coming back into the lunge, sending the leg away from the navel center. Then from here, turn the back leg in, and then windmill the arms up and away, and all the way we're there in warrior two. I'll put myself up so I can't see. Great, so we're in our warrior two, and can you feel how you come from the navel into warrior two? And for a moment, let's play around with that. Let's do that. So we're moving from the extremities. Can you send them away? Can you push the feet in the floor or send an arm away? And feel how you are here. Can create movement, almost like by reaching into space and pushing away from the floor, finding that movement because of the extremities wanting to go out and reaching and pushing. Beautiful. And then find your warrior two back. Having beautiful. Reaching forward, and let's reach back with the upper arm, which creates a reverse warrior. So reaching up and over. Beautiful. Now reach back with the extremities away from the center. Bring them all the way forward and allow your hands to come to the floor. And back into your lunge. Stepping back into a plank position. And if you want, you can bring your knees to the floor always. And then from here, either knees, chest chin to the floor, or lower yourself down all the way to the floor. Finding that support of the floor. Now I want you to bring your feet a little bit wider out. So just as a starfish, but in between, not too wide. Hands are coming by your elbows, by your shoulders. And now first peel away your head from the floor. Just peel away vertebra by vertebra from the floor without using the hands. And then you can bring the hands actually a little bit forward. And if you want, you can come up all the way into a cobra. If that feels good. Then bending the elbows, peeling again, vertebra by vertebra, rolling yourself down. So one more time, peeling the head. So first, like taking the head of the floor, and then the upper vertebrae, like just peel the spine off the floor, pushing into the hands, into a cobra, and then rolling yourself down, all the way down. Great. From here, place your hands at your shoulders, bending the hips, and coming back into a child's pose. Taking a little rest there for a moment, finding the lengthening of your arms away from the sit bones. Resting and feeling this little me moment again. Remember, me, you. So anything, all the poses that are big and out, feel the difference in your body right now, being in this nice inwards position. Great. So we go from the same sequence on the other side. So bringing the weight into the hands, so coming up into hands and knees. Tucking the toes under and coming into downward facing dog. Taking a moment to be there, feeling how downward facing dog is really you pushing your extremities into the floor and sending your center away, sit bones up and away from the hands and from the feet, making space. And then from here, bring your left leg up and away, all the way, and feel as if that leg is moving up, starting at the navel. And then from here, bring it in, so knee towards your nose, make yourself small and tiny, placing your foot forward in between your hands into a lunge position. And we take a little moment to bring the knee to the floor, opening up the hips and going forwards and back in our lunge position. If you have blocks and you want to use them, you could always use them here. That would be easier. You don't need that. Great. And then coming back into your lunge. So if you can, tucking the back toes under, straightening that leg. Then from here, turn that leg in, windmill your arms up into warrior two. And in our warrior, we play around a bit. So if I play around with pushing my feet into the floor, something will move, something will happen. And can I play around with that? And if you want, you can play around with sending your hands into the space, like where do they want to go? The extremities moving you around your center. That looks really great, beautiful. Where does that take you? Ooh. Great. And then back into your warrior two. You're choosing like a more choreographed pattern for a moment. And then here, reaching your front hand, left hand forward. And then reaching up and over to reach back. Just moving that extremity away, but it moves all the way from the navel center. Opening up into reversed warrior. And then from there we move back, placing both hands on the floor. So you're back in your lunge, and then step back all the way into your plank. If you want, you can bring your knees to the floor. So you lower yourself down with your knees and chest and chin, but we're going to end up all the way on the floor or just straight down. Rest your head on the floor if you can, forehead. Bring your feet a little bit wider. Place your hands a little bit in front of you. Now peel up, slowly, slowly, peel off the head of the floor. Peel off the vertebrae of the upper spine. And then when you can't go any further, press into your extremities, press into your hands in order to bring yourself up and into a cobra. And release that again. So can you roll down? Can you roll down, vertebra by vertebra, bending the elbows, and slowly bringing the top of the head back to the floor, the forehead. So one more time. Peeling off the head of the floor, coming up and away, until you find that really beautiful support of the hands, pushing yourself away from the floor. And then from there, releasing, 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 all the way down. Great, one more time. Peeling the head away. I'm just gonna watch for a moment. Until you find the support of your hands coming up into your cobra. If this feels good, and never go further than you can or what hurts. And then peeling yourself away and into the floor. Beautiful. Really nice. And then bring your feet together. Place your hands closer by your sides, so that you can push yourself up and again back into a child's pose. Great. Okay, so from here, bring your weight into your hands again. And to hands and knees. And then from there into downward facing dog. We'll do this little sequence one more time. Now your body knows it. And we'll see how much flow we can bring in there. So in your downward facing dog, why don't you play around a little bit? Pushing away from the hands, from the feet. Feeling how the extremities can move you. Any little play that wants to come through. If you want to lift a hand or a foot, feel free. Great. And then from there, when you're ready, from the navel center, bring up the right leg. Bring it up and away to the skies as far as you can. And then after that, bring it in, bring the elbow towards the face and step that leg forward into a lunge. So all the way, the leg is all the way in between the hands, sorry, the foot. Then from there, bring the back knee to the floor and move forwards and backwards a couple of times. So you can bring the back knee towards the floor so that you have that support and just opening up these hips forward and back a couple of times. Then after that, bringing your hands to the floor again, lunge. And then from here, really push your feet into the floor, turn the back heel in, and then open yourself up into Warrior Two. And then in Warrior Two, can you play around? Can you feel the push of the feet in the floor that will change the bend of the knees? Can you send your hands away? Where can this take you if you let your extremities play around? And we still have the construct of the pose, kind of, but we have that playfulness within it. Beautiful. And then let that playfulness very nicely come back into your Warrior Two position where your hands are nice and straight and your right leg is bent. And then from there, reach the right hand forward and open up into a reversed warrior. And allow that to come from the reaching hand. Beautiful. And then from there, let that right hand come back. Circle the hands back towards the floor all the way. So they're going to come into the floor, you're in your lunge. And then from there, step back into a plank position. Now either knees to the floor or lower yourself down all the way. And when you're on the floor, strap your legs a little bit, so make your feet a little bit wider apart. Have your hands a little bit above your head. And then take the head away, nice and mindful, all the way peeling away the vertebrae. And if you wish, push into the hands and find that. And then stay there for a little while. in your cobra. And can you play around here? Can you keep the hands on the floor, but play around with bending the elbows, with twisting and turning? And if you push more on the right side, something happens on the left and the other way around. So feel into how your hands can move and help you to play around. Maybe you want to place them a little bit closer or further away, bending the elbows, straightening them. And feel how this changing of the extremities, how that impacts your spine. So can you let the spine be really fluid? And allow that to move with it. Beautiful. And then from there, when you're ready, bringing again your head to the floor, hands by the shoulders, pushing yourself back into a child's pose. Taking a little rest for a moment. Deep breath in and deep breath out. And can you in this child pose give a little bit more of your weight towards the floor? Can you release a little bit more in the hip joints? Can you soften anywhere your body a little bit more and just give it a gentle reminder that there's no need to work really hard and that you can let go of any unnecessary tension. And with that softness, we'll do the sequence for the last time on the left side. So bringing your hands in front of you, bringing your weight towards your hands, coming to hands and knees. And then from there into downward facing dog. Take your time, play around into your dog. Feel if you can press and pull and play around in your dog a little bit. Beautiful. Yeah, maybe rolling the spine, bending the knees. Great. Then take your awareness to your navel center for a moment, and from that navel center, shoot out the left leg and let it go up and away into the sky. Let it reach, reach, reach from the center. Then bring that knee back into the center, make yourself small, and then place your hand in between your foot in between your hands into your lunge. Bring the back knee to the floor and move forwards and backwards a couple of times. Just gently, beautiful. Allowing that to open up and to stretch. Really nice. Forwards and backwards. And then come forwards with your weight. Tuck the toes under so you come again into your lunge. And then from there, can you yield your feet into the floor, turn the back leg in, and from pushing away from the floor, windmilling the arms up into the space, up into a beautiful warrior two. Same thing here, play around in your warrior two. Maybe this time let's start for one moment without the hands. Like what can happen if we just play around with the legs, having them pushing and pulling away. Like what is there that you can send away, even though we're not even taking the legs from their little spots where they are right now. And then bring in the hands. How can you send them away? Make this exploration even a little bit bigger. Really nice. Great. Finding your warrior two. Opening up into a reverse warrior. So send that hand first forward and then up and away. Really nice, beautiful. And then from there, both hands circle far and away, and then find the floor, stepping back into your plank position. From there, either your knees to the floor, lowering yourself down, or just lowering yourself down all the way towards the floor, giving your weight to the floor. Taking the feet a little bit wider apart. Hands forward, head up and away from the mat. Roll the whole spine, pushing your hands into the floor, opening up into a cobra. And do that 2 more times in your own time. Rolling your spine up and away from the floor. So when you go back, your head is the last thing that lands. Head is the first thing to go away. Head is the last thing that lands on the floor again. Beautiful. Really nice. So last time you can rest on the floor, and what we'll do from here, from being over the belly on the floor, I want you to find your starfish, but with the belly on the floor. So taking the legs and the hands out. Having a start, you can place your right ear on the floor or your left, doesn't matter. And now allow yourself to be in that starfish position, but on the front of your body. And can you give your weight to the floor, really allowing the bones to be heavy, the muscles to relax where they can. Really good. And then from there, we'll walk our hands in, placing the feet together, knees apart, pushing yourself back into a child's pose. And from your child's pose, bring your elbows in, and can you find a way again to roll to your side and come to the starfish on the back. Great. Remembering how we started in this starfish position. And closing your eyes for a moment, feeling the extremities going away from the navel center. And let's place, for a moment, let's place one hand on the navel, doesn't matter which hand. And just feeling this center that is so connected to I want, I will, yeah, really what you want, who you are, what you want, what is your desire. And by connecting to that desire in the navel center, and then through the extremities, through the actions, through connection with other people, you make it happen. Maybe just having a gentle thought of opening up that channel, knowing what you want, and making it happen into the world, from the inner feeling to the outer action and connection. Taking your hand over your navel center of that, your starfish, and then one more time, like we did in the beginning, roll to your right side or to your left side, for that matter, it doesn't matter. Rolling in into your little, what's that? Little bubble. Nose to the knees. And can you place one more time, one hand on the top of the head and the other hand on your tailbone. And feeling the spine that grew first before your limbs, when you were just a tiny bit in the womb, and connecting with that, finding that tail to head connection. And then releasing the hands from the top of the head and the tailbone, and have your hands help you to come up to a seated position. Crossing the legs. And just one last moment to close our eyes. Having all of that land into your body. Your navel center, your hands, your legs coming out of that, and your head and your tail. the 6 extremities from that center. And just breathing, letting yourself come back to this moment. And then place your hands in front of your heart in a prayer position. And I'm just going to bow my head to you. Thank you so much for being here and to this beautiful connection of inner and outer and of wanting, desiring and making things happen like this beautiful Zoom around the world. So I bow to that. Thank you very much and have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.